Razaban FIA for TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. Delighted to have with me once again at the Boxer tournament, the Omen himself, Mr. Spencer Oliver. Spencer, it's becoming a habit.
It absolutely is, Raz. You know what I mean? We spent 2 years together in lockdown over Zoom, and now we're like, yeah, it's becoming a weekly occurrence. Good.
It's good to see you face to face, though.
Yeah, man, definitely. Listen, you get more out of me face to face, mate. Trust me.
I'm not sure. Sometimes I get you drunk on Zoom.
Yeah, we can get me drunk off Zoom.
We've just seen the weigh-in for the cruiserweights. Obviously, last time out it was the lightweights. I spoke to, I think, 7 out of the 8 fighters over the last 2 days, and I said, "You're so young in your career. Why do you want to go in a tournament and potentially lose on kind of a live stream when the normal theme is for fighters to go away, kind of build their record?" And they said, "Listen, we've got nothing to lose. We want to gain the prize at the end." But is this a concept where we're looking for that next star, and potentially from these tournaments we can find those next stars?
100%. You know what, we used to have prize fighter, yeah, which was a similar sort of format. You have the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the finals. 3 rounds, 3 minutes each round. But the prize fighter had all your ex-fighters in it. You know, your ex-champions who were coming down, your Audley Harrisons and Junior Witters, and those type of fighters, like Robin Reed is also another one that comes to mind. But in this tournament, so it's a similar format, quarters, semis and finals, but in this tournament it's about grassroots, giving the kids the opportunities. You know, like 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 fighters. I think the most experienced in there is Ellis Zorro, who's 11-0, 6 KOs. That's the most experienced. But even him, they haven't had that platform, and it's all about following your dreams and where you want to make it. And all these kids see this as their world title shot, because it's the opportunity to get that platform. And that platform, obviously, it's all about people getting to know who you are. That's what you do boxing for. So it's very difficult when you're doing those small hall shows. This is a massive opportunity for these guys, and that's why I like it when you get the kids that are 3-0, 1-0, 2-0, because they go for it, man. You know what I mean? Like, you know, these three round formats is you haven't got time to lose a round. You lose 1 round and you're in trouble. You got to roll the dice, man. And when you roll the dice, you either knock out or get knocked out. And I think that's the excitement of it. You know, Dylan Chima, who won the last one in Coventry, no one had heard of him before that. And you see the kid and you just go, you know what? Wow, actually there's potential. So you're right in what you say, Raz, that it's an opportunity for these kids to get known, but also it catapults them, you know, up into the rankings, and they get these opportunities.
Who are you looking forward to the most Saturday night?
Do you know what? I think because he's a mate of mine, Johnny Nelson, who's been mentoring Sheldon McDonald. Like, I like him. I like him because, you know, I like his backstory. His brother committed suicide. That gives him his extra drive. He wants to do it for his brother, and rare. And I just like him. I like his attitude. He's only 3-0, limited experience. But actually, he's the dark horse of the competition, because he's the guy that, what they do up there in Sheffield is they're very good at controlling space, taking their time, picking their shots. You know, will that work over the 3-round format? I'm not sure. But what I've seen is, for a guy that's only had limited experience, actually is a very rounded and very complete fighter. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing his development, and then that's the one. I only go with him because he's the only one that I know through Johnny Nelson, obviously. So you sort of like, you get attached to, not so much attached because I don't know him personally, but you get this where you go, oh right, I love his story, I love his backstory. So, but they've all got their own stories. You know, they've all got their own individual stories. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But he's the guy that sort of stands out for me.
Well, we wish all the 8 fighters all the best tomorrow night. Spencer, just moving on a couple of other topics. Yesterday, Boxer announced Ben Whittaker as their latest signing. It seems like they're signing majority of the Olympics. Yeah. Everyone thought when Eddie Hearn left and took most of the fighters that Sky was on the downfall, but it looks like Sky are bouncing back.
100%. They've signed up 4 out of the 6 Olympians, I think it is now, with Whittaker as well. So, you know, they've got Lauren Price, who's the gold medalist, who's just recently signed up as well. So things are going from strength to strength for Sky. They really are at the moment, you know. And Ben Whittaker is a huge signing, because, like, you know, there's similarities to him. You know, there's similarities to like a sort of like a Roy Jones type fighter. There's a little bit of Nazim Hamid in there. He's flash, he's brash. Do you know what I mean? He's got a little bit of swagger about him, and that's good. But he's not too cocky and too arrogant. I like what, you know, we had him on Talk Sport yesterday, and I like the guy. You know, I like the confidence that he uses. Confidence, but not only that, he can back it up because he can fight. You know, and so I'm looking forward to his development. Speaking to Sugar Hill about him actually, and Sugar was saying, you know what, like this kid has serious talent. He's now going to be training him, and he's saying, yeah, this kid's got serious talent. You know, he said, look, once you know, you could come across these fighters every now and then, once in a lifetime. Yeah, there could be, you know, glimpses of Roy Jones in there, people like that. He goes, you know, because this kid is multi-talented, and I think with his experience as a trainer, he can develop him even more. So yeah, exciting times for Whittaker, but definitely one to keep your eye on.
Just going back to the weekend, Canelo dared to be great, went up 175 again. He beat Kovalev, but a lot of people said that was an over-the-edge Kovalev. This was a fresh, hungry, young Bivol, and he came up short. Not short, but very, very short. I know the scorecards were close, but everyone knows the fight was very, very wide. One, what did you make of Canelo's performance? And two, all the backlash that Canelo's getting now. You know how the world works.
I don't agree with the backlash that Canelo's getting. I'll tell you why, because Canelo's like pushing himself all the time, testing himself all the time. Kovalev was a great one to go by because he boxed an old, faded Kovalev and he struggled. After 10 rounds he was behind, knocked Kovalev out in the 11th round. So we should have read more into that going into this fight, because I think I tell you what I made the mistake of, is that I made the mistake of going, well, when Bivol boxed Craig Richards, he struggled big time, and he pulled it out towards the end. He used his experience and pulled it out, but was that lack of belief in Richards going into that fight. But all that highlighted was how good Richards is, because that performance that Bivol put in against Canelo was incredible. What he done was he controlled the space, like he kept it long. He didn't let Canelo get into the pocket, close the range, and he didn't let Canelo get off with the big shots. He was moving. He didn't sit on the ropes. I mean, that was a masterclass. It was a disciplined performance, and I think that just highlights how good Bivol is. Don't worry about Canelo now. He's not a pound for pound star. All that Canelo's done is he's pushed himself out of the boundaries. Right, he's taken himself up. He's 5'8". He was boxing. He was world champion at welterweight. Light heavyweight was just a step too far. You know, I think that Canelo's still very dominant down at middleweight. You know, he's going to be very hard for him to beat. But Canelo himself wanted those tests. He wanted to push the boundaries, see how far he could go. Well, listen, light heavyweight is clearly a step too much, because Bivol controlled that fight. He won 9 of the 12 rounds, and it was a one-sided fight. So, yeah, I hope that Canelo doesn't activate that immediate rematch like he was talking about, because that's not the way to go. I think the Canelo we need to see him going back down to middleweight, you know, maybe someone like Triple G for a trilogy fight, you know, because the first fight especially was controversial. I thought the Triple G won that fight by 3 or 4 rounds. Second fight was closer, but Triple G was unlucky not to come away and say a draw. So give him the opportunity. Although he's turned 40 now, you know, he still looks all right in his last fight. He dug out, he grinded out a victory. So I wouldn't mind seeing that fight, if I'm totally honest, down at middleweight. But that's where Canelo belongs. Light heavyweight, forget that. Forget activating that immediate rematch.
Going back a couple of weeks, Tyson Fury proved again why he is the best heavyweight in the world. I know you was there with Talk Sport. Dylan White did his best, but obviously wasn't good enough on the night. Tyson says he's retired.
Yeah.
Would he be enticed out of the winner of Usyk Joshua when that happens?
I'll tell you what's going to happen, right? This is what I think, right? Tyson Fury is a fighting man, and I'll tell you something, he's in the prime of his career, right? He seems to be getting better, right? That highlighted the other Saturday just how good Tyson Fury is, because people were going, oh, you know what, Dillian White, he was rubbish. No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It was just how good Fury is. You know, Fury controlled the space. He waited for his time. He was picking. He was setting the traps, and then he finished it off with that beautiful uppercut. Dillian White now lost 3 fights. Got KO'd by an uppercut with Povetkin. KO'd on an uppercut of Anthony Joshua, and KO'd off an uppercut against Tyson Fury. You know, he throws the shot, he steps around, he comes square. Fury set that up. He took his time, waited for the opportunity, and done it. But Dillian White's a dangerous fighter. I think Tyson Fury now, I think Tyson Fury was talking about going and retiring now, yeah? But that's because when you've had a training camp, you've been boxing for 20 years, physically and mentally, you get so tired. You go, you know what, the last thing I want to do is see a boxing glove, see a boxing ring. I want to disappear. So I understand what he was going on about, and he's cleaned up the division. But guess what? Joshua-Usyk, Anthony Joshua, they're talking about July 23rd. If that fight happens, right, Tyson Fury goes, I want to disappear to an island. I'm going to go to an island. I'm going to sit on an island. I don't want a phone. I don't want any contact with anyone. I want to just sit there and be happily retired. Well, he deserves that. But I know Tyson Fury is a fighting man. And Joshua and Usyk get it on. The winner calls him out. by that time, you've been on that island for 2 months, mate, and he's going to start going, I fancy doing this again. You know what I mean? So I see that. I think Fury will fight again, and I think he'll fight the winner of that, and that cements his legacy. Because I think that Fury is the standout heavyweight in the division right now, you know, and I think that every fighter of their era cleans up the division when you get great fighters. You know, when you're talking about putting your names up there with like your Tysons and your Holyfields and Muhammad Ali's and those the names that you recognise from previous eras. I think Fury's well on his way to greatness. I really do. You know, I think he can put his name up there with those guys, but he has to clean up the era, and clean up the division. And I think that one man stands in the way of that, and that's the guy that wins Anthony Joshua versus Usyk. So that's the fight that we need to see: Tyson Fury versus the winner of that. Come on, then Tyson, then you can go and happily retire. But we need that as fight fans. Hopefully that happens.
Hopefully it does. Just finally, Spence, this week, two great fighters had a fight way past the date that they should have fought. They should have fought 5-6 years ago. Both fighters this week. Brook first announcing his retirement, and then I woke up this morning to see Amir Khan also announcing his retirement. Was that the best call for both fighters?
100%. I'm so pleased that happened. I'm pleased that the rematch clause wasn't activated. I know Kell Brook was looking around for another fight. I'm glad that Kell never got that fight, because that's the fight that Kell's been chasing for the best part of 10 years, Amir Khan, because he's always lived in Amir's shadow. Amir Khan's gone on to do great things, gone over to America, cracked America. Kell Brook, when he won the world title against Sean Porter in an unbelievable performance, split decision, gets the win over there against a great champion. He come back and he never really got the fights that he should have got, the fights that really should have, made him that star. So he's always been chasing the Amir Khan name. He got that opportunity, and I thought that was a brilliant performance. Khan, you could clearly see that Father Time had caught up with him, and this is a game that, this is a young man's sport. Father Time has caught up with Khan. He showed heart, determination, grit and willpower to stay in there, but it was Kell Brook's night. Kell Brook was punch perfect, go out on a high, so I'm glad that he'd done that. And I'm glad that Amir Khan's not chose to go into that rematch as well, because both guys have been unbelievable ambassadors for the sport. I think they've both cemented their legacy, and let's just leave it there.
Just finally, the last one. Is there a particular moment from Kell Brook's career and a particular moment from Amir Khan's career that kind of stands out for you?
Yeah, I think from Kell Brook's career, I think it was going over, winning that world title, and that fight against Amir Khan, if I'm honest. But the Sean Porter one for me was a real standout one for Kell Brook, because he's such a class act. I think going over there and beating Sean Porter the way that he did will be one of those standout fights for me. But you've also got to respect, the fighters that he's been in with, Kell. Your Terence Crawfords. He's taken on all the big names. Triple G moving up to middleweight to do that. So he's only lost the big names, if I'm totally honest. I think that's for me, Sean Porter was probably the standout one. And with Amir Khan, wow, there's so many memorable ones with Amir Khan. But I just love the way that Amir Khan's gone over and he's fought everyone. He's done it. I think the standout one for me with Amir Khan actually was Maidana, when he boxed Maidana, because how he got through that 10th round and the pummeling he was taking. But do you know what I loved about that? It was the balls that Amir Khan showed to stick in there and grind that out and get that victory, because Maidana was down early first round. He'd come back and he had Khan completely gone, but showed you what sort of character Amir Khan was as a fighter. Do you know what I mean? That even when things were, and even when he boxed Breeders Prescott, when he got knocked out and he was gone, and he's still trying to go, man. Do you know what I mean? He's just one of those fighters that had massive balls and put his heart and soul into it. And I love that with a fighter that fights with his heart on his sleeve, and Amir Khan had that as well. So yeah, I think that both guys they've given me so many memories over the years, that they both go and enjoy retirement, man. You both got a lot of money. You both earned it well. Come back in as managers or as trainers and give something back to the sport that way, but not in the ring, man. Let the young guns get on with that.
Absolutely well said, Spencer. We wish both Amir Khan and Kell Brook all the very best with their future ventures. Roll on Saturday night. Yeah,
can't wait for Saturday night. A new star could emerge on Saturday night. There's a lot of names, unknown names in there, so let's see how it goes. But one thing's for sure, it's going to be good, man. Saturday night, 8 o'clock, Sky Sports. Yeah, Cruiserweights Boxer Series.
Spencer Oliver, IFL TV, thank you very much.
Team Everlast to the Team Everlast Fitness app. Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.